We are counting down the 10 hidden Florida cities retirees are quietly snapping up during the market downturn. From tranquil inland towns, where homes stay under $250,000, to coastal escapes with lower crime and budget-friendly rents. These overlooked places combine safety, charm, and value in ways most headlines ignore. Which spot delivers the biggest retirement advantage? Let us unlock the countdown, starting with number 10. Sebring sits quietly in the middle of Florida, where lake breezes replace hurricane warnings, and the cost of peace is surprisingly low. Here, the median home price hovers around $230,000. Rents stay under $1,100, and the crime rate falls 13% below the national average. The town's signature is its circular downtown, roads spinning out from a shaded park lined with local shops and neighbors who still wave. Buyers like Rick Alvarez, a retired Air Force mechanic, have landed homes at discounts just by waiting out anxious sellers. In Sebring, the only rush is for the next round of golf or a walk along Lake Jackson. For retirees, it is a safe, affordable loophole, Florida living without the coastal chaos. Punta Gorda sits quietly on the Gulf, where marinas outnumber malls and the morning routine is a stroll by the harbor. After Hurricane Charlie tore through in 2004, the city rebuilt with some of Florida's toughest building codes. Steel roofs, reinforced windows, and higher foundations now line the waterfront. For retirees, that means more than peace of mind. Insurance companies reward these upgrades, often shaving thousands off annual premiums for newer homes, though rates still run high compared to inland towns. Waterfront homes that once topped $500,000 now hover in the mid-$300,000 range. Here, the dock is your front porch, and the only rush hour is the pelicans fishing at sunset. Punta Gorda proves you don't have to trade calm for chaos, or pay a fortune for the view. Venice is what happens when a Gulf town decides to run itself like a private resort, without the wristbands or the chaos. Streets stay spotless, palm trees line every block, and the downtown hums with quiet order. Crime is 70% below the national average, making Venice one of the safest places on Florida's coast. Median home prices hover around $420,000, with rents averaging $1,600. Retirees here swap worry for walks under the banyans, knowing that stability isn't just a slogan, it's the way the city is managed. In Venice, peace isn't a luxury, it's policy. New Smyrna Beach doesn't try to impress with glossy brochures. It lets the surf and the numbers do the talking. This is the beach town for people who want the ocean, but not the circus. Median rent sits at $1,550, and that's the real secret. Retirees can actually test drive coastal living before buying in. No rush, no pressure, just a chance to paddleboard at sunrise, grab tacos from a food truck, and see if the vibe fits. The town sits just far enough inland to dodge the worst of the insurance spikes, but close enough to keep the salt in the air. Art festivals, indie coffee shops, and a calendar packed with local music make it feel younger than most retirement havens. For those who want more than just a porch and a crossword, New Smyrna Beach is the low-risk, high-reward move. Just outside the famous gates of the Villages, a different kind of retirement deal is playing out. Wildwood, Lady Lake, and Leesburg sit close enough to tap into the restaurants, doctors, and social clubs that made the Villages a legend, but with home prices about 30% lower. The savings are real. MLS records show you can snag a 3-bedroom in Leesburg or Lady Lake for what a 2-bedroom costs inside the main development. The savings don't stop at the mortgage. Property taxes and insurance bills are lighter here too, thanks to newer construction and less congestion. Retirees get the same hospital networks and a front row seat to all the concerts and golf tournaments without HOA headaches or the sticker shock. Of course, not everyone loves the sprawl. Locals debate whether the farmland is vanishing too fast. But for budget-conscious buyers, this is Florida's biggest amenity hack. Ocala isn't just affordable, It's spacious. Here you'll find rolling pastures, horse farms, and neighborhoods where every home feels like its own retreat. The numbers back it up. Median home price sits at $280,000 with rents around $1,250, and the overall cost of living is 12% below the national average. Retirees stretch their budgets further, swapping postage stamp lots for real acreage, sometimes an acre or more, even in established subdivisions. Inland insurance premiums only ticked up about 7 to 10% this year, a far cry from the double-digit spikes on the coasts. Hurricanes rarely make it this far north, so peace of mind comes standard. In Ocala, privacy isn't a luxury, it's just part of the deal, and that is exactly why more retirees are heading for the horse country. Gainesville doesn't rely on beaches or buzzwords. It stands out for something more practical: healthcare. Anchored by the University of Florida, the city is home to a cluster of major hospitals, including UF Health Shands, North Florida Regional, and the VA Medical Center. That means access to top-tier doctors, specialists, and emergency care, all within city limits. For retirees, that is not just a perk, it is peace of mind. While the median home price sits just under $300,000, the real value is in the services: teaching hospitals, research clinics, and a steady flow of new medical talent. Hurricanes rarely reach this far inland, so insurance costs stay moderate and the risk stays low. Add in a calendar of concerts, art shows, and university lectures, and Gainesville becomes more than just affordable. It is medically ready for whatever comes next. DeLand isn't just a dot on the map. It's a living postcard from another era. Brick streets wind under old oaks draped in Spanish moss, and every Saturday, the farmers' market spills into the square, filling downtown with music, handmade crafts, and fresh citrus. The real surprise came after the market cooled. MLS data shows home prices in DeLand dropped nearly 12% since late 2022, with the median now at $325,000. That's not just a bargain, it's a window, and it won't stay open forever. Crime sits 25% below the national average, and the cost of living runs about 7% under the U.S. mean. Art shows, jazz festivals, and a calendar full of local events keep the town's creative pulse strong. For retirees, it's the rare mix of nostalgia and affordability. A place where you can actually buy into the small-town dream before the rest of the world remembers what it's missing. Cedar Key isn't just hidden. It's nearly invisible, with fewer than 1,000 people calling this tiny island home. Here, the pace of life drifts with the tides, and the silence is broken only by the cries of gulls or the clatter of a crab trap. The houses, often perched on stilts and painted in sun-faded colors, rarely come up for sale. When they do, the median price hovers around $310,000, but it is not just about the money. It is about scarcity. In 2006, Cedar Key drew a line in the sand. A city ordinance banned chain restaurants, a move led by locals who wanted to keep the island's soul intact. No franchises, no neon, no drive-thrus, just family diners and seafood shacks run by people whose names you will learn before the week is out. Crime here is almost an afterthought, with rates routinely far below the national average. Life is simple, but that is the real luxury. No crowds, no rush, just the rarest slice of old Florida left to find. Apalachicola sits at the mouth of the Apalachicola River, where the Gulf meets old working docks and the air smells like salt and oysters. This is the last stop on the list for a reason. No other Florida town blends authenticity and affordability quite like this. Here you will find a median home price of $295,000 and rent around $1,050, numbers that still feel possible even as the rest of the coast slips out of reach. The draw is not just the price tag or the silence that settles over the bay at sunset. It is the feeling of a real place where shrimp boats leave before dawn, and the oyster houses still open with the tide. But there is a trade-off that cannot be ignored. NOAA's latest surge maps paint most of Apalachicola inside the 100-year floodplain. About 4 out of 5 homes lie within the zone that could see water rise in a major storm. The town's elevation keeps the core safe most years, but flood insurance here is not optional, and premiums have climbed to nearly $19,300 a year for some properties. Locals call it the price of living in paradise, and the smart buyers factor it in from the start. Still, for those who plan ahead, who see value in a place that feels untouched, who keep an eye on the water and their insurance renewal, Apalachicola offers a kind of peace you cannot fake. No crowds, no condos, just the real Florida, steady as the tide. That is why, even with the risk, it tops the list. The reward is a life that is honest, affordable, and deeply rooted, if you are willing to respect the water's reach. Across all 10 cities, one truth stands out. Florida's so-called collapse is a filter, not a failure. Retirees aren't chasing hype. They're choosing overlooked towns offering value, safety, and calm. The real opportunity isn't where everyone looks, but where everyone leaves. That's how you unlock the next Florida dream.